No.
I'm tired of calling the cops because of you. Get away from me. Stay away from me. Don't touch me. Health? Disgusting. Ew. No. No. Stay.
It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
Okay, so with all the stuff about Bri coming out, I felt like I should probably share my story. I met Bri about a year ago through my ex, who is now sitting in a jail cell for all the shit he did to me. So, as you can tell, he wasn't a great person either. And I would describe those two as the Barbie and Ken doll meet Harley and Joker duo, because they are both beautiful people and like gorgeous models, but they are absolutely insane. Like crazy. I mean, that's why you're seeing this video right now, because Bri has gone viral for showing how insane she is, and my ex is sitting in a jail cell. So all the karma that I needed has come through, and hopefully continues, because honestly, they put me through literal hell last year. I was in one of the worst spots in my life because of them. And I don't know, I might talk about my ex if people want to hear about it, but it's still pretty fresh and I'm still kind of dealing with it, so I don't know if I will, but I can talk about my experience with Bri. I'd hung out with her like twice before I felt something was off about her. I had invited her and my ex over for a fire at my house with my roommates, and they came over, and this was the first time that I was like, something's off about you. You just lied. Because she came over and she starts telling this story about how her parents had passed away, and it was a complete different story than what I had seen she'd posted online, and I was like, that seems like you're fishing for attention right now, and you're kind of being weird. So anyways, her and my ex leave. I get to bed, I'm almost asleep, and I start getting phone calls off the hook, text messages, FaceTime requests, like just nonstop. And I'm like trying to go to bed because I had to work early in the morning. So I'm like, well, maybe something's wrong. Maybe there's an emergency. Why would she be like, I hope they're okay. And I didn't realize I was getting all these texts until I was like almost asleep. And so I look at the phone and I call her back and I'm like, is everything okay? And she's like, you have my keys. You have my keys at your house. Why are you ignoring me? Why are you ignoring me? And I was like, whoa, hold on. What happened? And she's like, I can't get into my apartment because you have my keys. And I was like, oh, I was just getting ready for bed. Like, I'll go look for your keys right now. And so I go outside and I check everywhere and I search for probably like 30 minutes for these damn keys. And I searched the grass, I searched our patio, I searched like the fire area, the fire pit, I searched our driveway, I even checked the street to see if maybe they fell out when they drove off. And I get back in the house and I text her, I'm like, look, I have searched everywhere, I cannot find your keys. Have you talked to my ex and to see if he has them in his car? And she was like, I'll reach out to him. And I was like, okay, well, I have to go to bed. I work in the morning. And so, yeah, I go to bed. I fall asleep. I wake up to probably like 150 to 200 texts and calls and FaceTime requests. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? So I text her back because I was getting ready for work. Like, I was busy. And she starts going off on me saying that I stole her keys and that I was lying to her, and she doesn't understand why I would ignore her She had to sleep on the patio in front of her apartment that night. Like, all this stuff. And I was just kind of like, yes, I feel bad you slept on the ground. But also, you're an adult and you should maybe figure something else out. Like, maybe call a locksmith. I don't know. Sounds insensitive of me, but anyway, she starts going off on me. And I'm like, I do not have your keys. Like, I really don't. And she went off her rocker. And for the next following day, she was just like berating me, calling me a liar, like calling constantly and doing it to my ex. And they were starting to get in fights on the phone, like crazy ass fights. And I was like, that's when I saw a little bit of his crazy. I was like, that's weird. Mind you, I only dated him for 2 months and here I am almost a year later, still dealing with his bullshit. But anyways, back to Bri. So they start getting in fights. She's like threatening to call the cops, saying that I stole from her. Meanwhile, I had talked to my roommate and I was like, have you seen keys anywhere? And she was like, no, she had them on her purse when she left. I saw them on her purse when she left. And I was like, oh, okay. So I texted her, I'm like, hey, update. My roommate actually saw your keys on your purse when you left. And she just lost it and like started calling me a liar, saying that my friend was a bitch, like all this stuff. And I was like, okay, so I'm now going to block this person. Like, she's gone. There's something wrong with her. There's something wrong with this girl. So I block her. And of course, like, I talk to my ex and I'm like, hey, like, I get you two are friends, but I will not be around that person anymore. She is insane and I won't be dealing with it anymore. So if you hang out with her, it has to be without me. I don't want any part of it. None. I don't want any part of it. And, he agreed and he was like, no, she's insane. Like, I'm not being friends with her anymore. Well, then all this stuff went down with me and him and they became friends again, and she helped him do wild shit to me. But I guess the last little bit of what I had to deal with her was when I was going through the breakup process with my ex. He was getting arrested down the street from my house. And that whole day he had been harassing me, stalking me, like he was just, And she then posted a picture of me on her Instagram and just started going off on me, telling her followers, her 20,000 followers, that I'm this awful person and I took her best friend and I ruined him. And I knew he had issues and I stayed with him. And now I'm putting him in jail when his life was going so good. Like, just lying through her freaking teeth. So I had to deal with that for like the next couple days of her just berating me, calling me, texting me through Instagram. And I just had to block her on everything. And then finally, my ex, she says that my ex stole $20,000 from her. We all know that she probably didn't have that much money. She's a liar. And he was stalking her apartment now. And I mean, she was posting pictures of him sitting in front of her door, because at that point he was homeless. But yeah, and then she starts posting videos of all that and starts like trying to get me involved with it. And I was just like, I'm not doing this. I'm done. Like, goodbye. But yeah, to end this story, Bri needs serious mental help. It's really nice to see that karma is being served with Bri and my ex a year later. It does make me really happy. But yeah, that's kind of a shortened story of everything. I feel like there's more that went on that I'm just not remembering, because There's so much that has happened to me this last year with her and her friend, my ex, that has been hard to work with. But yeah, unbelievable. We'll leave it with that. But yeah. Okay, so today has been a very long day. My phone has been going off the hook, and more people are coming out with their stories about Bri. And I just have to say I'm very happy that people are able to make other people aware of this situation. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a new video out by a girl named Courtney. And Bri did very awful things to her. You should go watch it. It's disgusting. It's wrong. There's no excuse. Not even saying you're mentally ill. No excuse for what happened to that girl. It's very sad. But yeah. Anyways, I keep getting a lot of messages asking if I will talk about my ex, and people have said they feel like it will be healing, and I agree. So I'm going to talk about it. It may take me a while to get through this because, I mean, you could do a Netflix series on it. Watching the baby reindeer Netflix series when it came out brought up a lot of trauma for me because I went through a lot of the same things that guy did. Obviously his was I mean, I feel like his was probably way worse than mine, but there was so many similarities. There's so many similarities to that story and mine. But yeah, I met my ex about a year ago from now. And he's very attractive. He is very sweet. He was very nice. He knew what to say. He saw that I was a sucker. He saw that I was vulnerable. And to this day, I still beat myself up about not seeing all the red flags, but I have a really good friend that helped me kind of look through that, work on that and work past that. I mean, I still beat myself a little bit, but not like I was. She said you can be standing in a windstorm and the wind can be blowing right in your face and all the red flags are pointed at you, but they're like this and you can't see them. She's like, it's not until the windstorm dies down that you start to see the flags moving this way and you see them. And yeah, I mean, those red flags are there and I didn't see them because I was vulnerable. Prior to meeting him, a year prior to meeting him, I had gotten out of a 9-year relationship and I had to live with that person for another year, which was hard. It was hard for me to make that decision of leaving that person as well. And yeah, I wasn't ready to date. And I got back out in the dating scene. But yeah, I met him at a gay rodeo in Ogden, Utah. And I met him organically, which doesn't happen nowadays with dating. It's very unheard of. But yeah, I mean, especially in gay dating, that's very difficult. But yeah, I guess what started the turn of events is that my dog's leg got broken. And he eventually admits that it's him, and I'll get to that. But we'd been dating for 2 months. I was at work one night. I get a call from him, and he doesn't even seem frantic, but he's just like, Dixon's leg is broken. And I was like, oh my God, what? And he's like, Dixon's leg is broken. He got attacked by a pit bull. And I'm a veterinary technician, so I was like, okay, get him to me right now. that whole 15 minutes, my mind is spinning. I'm a mess. My dog is my baby. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I'm gonna have to euthanize my dog tonight. He got attacked by a pit bull. That, or we're gonna have to amputate his leg. I'm thinking the worst. Well, they show up, and I look at my dog. I start looking at him, and he's not ripped to shreds. There's no bite wounds. There's no slobber, nothing. But his leg is very swollen. And so we go in, we take the x-rays, and he's got a clean break on his femur, which is one of the hardest bones to break in a body. And at this point, all my coworkers were like, something's off here. I was too distraught to see any signs, any red flags. But yeah, so then I get back out and I just ask him, I'm like, so like, what happened again? Like, can you tell me? And he says, at this point, he says that the pit bull ran over my dog. They were playing and he ran him over and his leg broke. And that's when all my coworkers got really suspicious because the story changed at that point. So anyways, we call and get him scheduled for surgery the next day. And he takes me home. But on the way home, we stopped by the park that it happened at because I was pissed and I wanted to talk to these owners and have them help me pay for it, because I mean, this is an expensive surgery, and yes, I'm a technician and yes, I get a discount, but still, it is a lot of money for someone who doesn't make that much money. Like, techs don't make that much money. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so we go to the park. Obviously no one's there, so we go back to the house and we're laying in bed, and he just didn't, I wasn't getting that he was as upset as me. And so I kind of was like, so, like, can you tell me what happened again? And he, at this point, gets very pissed and is like, I just don't want to talk about it right now. And that's when I was like, oh, that's weird. And at that point, I started feeling like something was off. So then the next day comes along, we get Dixon's leg fixed. He's recovering. My friend had gotten me Sam Smith tickets, so figure why not go to the Sam Smith concert and just relax for a little bit and get my mind off of all this shit. And I took him with me. So we're at the concert. It's nearing the end. Encore's about to happen, and he walks up and goes to the bathroom. Well, he walks back in, he's looking around, like, looking for me, and so I'm sitting there, I'm like, hey, I'm over here, like, waving at him, and he turns around and walks right back out. And I'm like, I text him, and I'm like, hey, where are you going? Like, it's almost the encore, like, it's almost the end, like, get in here. And he says, I'm going home. And I was like, excuse me, sir, why are you doing this right now? Like, get back in here. It's almost over. We'll go home after. And he's like, I can't believe you're doing this to me right now. And I was like, okay. Well, he's like, I'm leaving. And I was like, I gotta go. Like, I was pissed. And I walked out and I started, like, asking him, like, what are you doing? Like, let's go back in and finish it. And he's like, I just can't believe you're treating me like this right now. And I was like, I don't know what you mean. Like, I'm not treating you badly. I'm just asking you to come back in. And then we start getting in a fight, and it just starts escalating. And I'm just like, well, this isn't going to work. Like, we just need to leave. So we left. We get in the car. We talk it out. We work it out. I didn't ask any more questions about Dixon because I didn't want to cause more fights. At this point, I had no proof that he did anything. But yeah, so what happens the following days is even worse. I don't have enough time to go into that, but if you guys want to hear more, let me know. It's a lot. It's going to be a lot, and it's going to take a long time to finish this story, so yeah. I wanted to start off by answering some questions. Everyone's been really sweet, and they've been asking about if Dixon's okay. He is. He's actually laying down here by me. He's asleep. But yeah, he's doing good. He is able to run again and play like he likes. But yeah, he's doing good. More and more stuff keeps coming out about the Bri stuff. I suggest you go watch it. She just posted a bunch of videos that she's asking for money for in 100K, I believe. So for her nonprofits and for herself. So I guess go look at those. It's pretty wild that this is getting to the point that it has. But yeah, I'm doing these videos to just bring awareness about these two individuals. Because yeah, they messed with me a lot, and they've messed with a lot of people. So if you've watched some of her new videos, she actually mentions my ex's name. So if you want his name, go watch her video and see where it's at. But I suggest you watch it on the other page that is posting everything that she is posting. I believe it's just Strawberry Blondie something. Anyways, just don't give her any more views so she doesn't make any money off of this. But we can get back to part 3 of my ex. So we last left off with us leaving the Sam Smith concert. We got in like a little fight. We went home. It calmed down. The next day, we everything was fine for the remainder of the day. We hung out at my house, and I was making dinner that night. He was getting on my iPad in the other room, and I come into the other room and I'm like, dinner's ready, and he just seemed off. He was just like acting like something was wrong again. And we ate, we came back in the room, and he was like, so who are all these messages on Facebook from? And I was like, let me see. I don't know. And he was like, well, you're getting a lot of them. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see. I have nothing to hide from you. And he hands me my iPad. I look at it, and I don't see any messages in my Facebook. And I was like, what are you seeing? And he's like, you keep getting messages, and they show up on your home screen, but they're not showing up in your messenger. And I was like, that's weird. So I like checked my phone. I looked around. I couldn't find anything. And then I was like, oh, I'm an admin on my work's Facebook page. So I was like, maybe it's that. So I open up my work's Facebook page, and there's all the messages that he was seeing. I was like, are these the ones that you're talking about? Oh, guys keep complimenting the mustache, and it is not holding today. But he was like, oh yeah, that's them. And then he like sat there for a little while, and he's like, can I see your phone? And I was like, yeah. Opened my phone, handed it to him. He went through literally everything you can go through. He even went through my Apple Maps and checked every location that I went to for like the past 2 months and questioned me on all of the locations that I went to. And I was able to answer all of it. Of course, some of them I had to sit there and think. I'm like, why did I go there? And then I'm like, oh, I went to lunch with my BFF or something, like just stuff like that. And I had an answer for every single one. He started going through all my emails, my call logs, my texts, all my social media accounts. And then he downloaded 2 dating apps onto my phone. And these are dating apps that I had paused when I met him, just because at the time, I didn't know if we were going to work out. And so I just kept those accounts paused. Well, as time went on, we got closer and closer and became exclusive. I just never thought to go back and like delete the accounts, but they were paused, so they weren't active, until he got on my phone, downloaded the apps, and reactivated my accounts. And he starts freaking out about, he can't believe I'm this type of a person. I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you have your Instagram hooked to these accounts. And I was like, yeah, accounts that are were deactivated until you reactivated them. And he like threw my phone at me and was like, I'm leaving, we're done. And at this point, I was already pretty upset with him, with my dog. And so I got pissed and I immediately was like, fine, let's do this. Let's go to your house. I'm going to get my crap and I'm leaving. I'm out of your life. And we walked out to the car. We started driving there and we were in a screaming match. And then he like immediately switched up on me and was like, no, please don't leave me. And I was like, well, you're being weird. Like, you're accusing me of cheating on you, and I've given you all the evidence. Like, I've shown you everything, and yet you still are sitting here thinking I'm cheating on you. And we kind of talk it out. It gets resolved for the time being. And we come home, we go to bed. The next day, I go to work in the morning. He was supposed to be going and meeting my parents at the airport to pick them up. And because I had their car, it's a whole thing. He was going to use my car to go pick my parents up. So I'm at work and I start getting text messages from random men. And they're asking me when we're going to hook up. Like, when do you want to meet up? And I'm like, who is this? And they start telling me like, oh, you just messaged me. You told me to text you. And I'm like, I did not message you. Who is this? And one dude starts sending me pictures and screenshots of the conversation. And my ex had gotten on these dating apps and made accounts with my face and was giving out my personal phone number to these men. And so I immediately call him and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And he just starts screaming at me. He's talking about how he's gonna himself, and he's not gonna be with us anymore by the time I get to the house. And I was in shock. I was like, if I have to leave work right now because of this, like, this is over. Like, we're done. You've shown a lot of crazy the past couple days. And yeah, so I go to my manager and I'm like, hey, I gotta go. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, my ex is, well, he's trying to say that he's gonna himself. And she was like, okay, go. So I left, and it just gets crazier from there. Time's almost up for this video, so I'll do a part 4 immediately after this. Hopefully it doesn't get taken down, because I've done this multiple times and it keeps getting taken down. And I think it's probably because I'm talking about. So, okay, so here we are for part 4. I start driving to the house. I'm almost there and I notice that his car is driving down the road, and I follow it. I call him. We get in a screaming match. I finally convince him to get to the house. We can get in my car and go to his place to get all my stuff, because I didn't trust him to give me my stuff back. On the whole way there, he's begging me to stay with him. He's begging me to stay with him over and over again. And I was silent. And then he kept switching up, and then he'd be like, I just can't believe you do this to me. And then he'd be like, I love you, don't leave me. Just wild. It was weird. And I was in shock. And we get to his place, and I start packing all my stuff up, and he immediately pulls out and starts putting it up to his arm. And he was holding it this way and not this way. So I was like, he's not going to do anything. I'm just getting all my stuff together. I have it all ready, and I look at him like, okay, are we done? Like, can we go? And he takes his phone and he chucks it across the room at me. And I was just like, let's go. If you want to get back to your car, you're going to have to come with me. So we get back in the car. The whole way there, he's begging me to stay with him. We get back, and he gets in his car, and he's like, I want my shorts back. So I was like, okay. And he's like, can I please come in? Like, he just kept switching. And I was like, no, you're not coming in my house. You actually are not allowed back here ever again once I give you these shorts. You will leave, and we are done. And I go in the house, and meanwhile I'm in the house, he's texting me crazy stuff. I'm going to put the text behind me. Let's do that real quick. Okay, so as you can see, I stopped sharing my location with him. He had been requesting this. He wanted his money back for some test that I paid for him. I can't even remember how it worked out, but he wanted his money back. And so I sent him his money. He sent it right back. And then he started saying all this while I was in the house. And my roommate was looking for his shorts. And then he left, and that's when the two texts at the bottom came through after he left. And this is where it gets a little wild. I'll post the next set of texts. Here's more. He just started going off about all of this. Requested the money again after he just sent it back to me. And yeah. Then at the very bottom he says, will you please send me my money? There was money that he sent me money so I could pay for some test because his card had been deactivated, and I used that money to pay for this test. Well, I never got refunded for it, so I wasn't going to send him his money. But yeah, so I get those texts. Yeah, I got those texts, and at this point too, he was calling my work and telling them that I'm a slut and a whore and that I cheated on him and all this stuff. He's saying this to one of our new employees. And my manager calls me and she's like, I just want you to know, like, I've got it covered. He is calling and saying these things. And so I then get a hold of him and just start going off on him. I'm like, you need to leave my work out of this. Like, that is my place of work. They don't have anything to do with me and you. Stay out. And that point we had started talking, like texting. I have more texts from that day, but they have some of his like personal account information, and I don't want to get in trouble for posting that, so I'm not going to. But we kind of talked it out, and I just was like, you need to seek mental help, and he agreed. But yeah, and then the next day I wake up to a bunch more texts. He starts coming to my work, drops off flowers. I think I left work early that day because I was a mess. I was a freaking mess because this was a person that I had trusted and brought into my life. I mean, he even met my family, my friends, and he met my entire family, like extended family, because I'm really close with all of them. And so I'm thinking this person is my partner, and they turn out to be a psychopath. So yeah, I came home and I got bombarded with more and more messages. I can post them. So yeah, he's texting me, and at this point I'm not texting him back. I was done. From this point on, I never responded to him again. Unless he like called me and I had to tell him to leave me alone. So yeah, he's saying all this stuff. He showed up at my house, and our Ring doorbell actually caught him placing that card right there. And when I opened the card, it was like a bunch of like, I love you, I messed up. But it was written like a toddler, and I'd never really seen his handwriting, and it's eerie. I have pictures of it somewhere, and I have it still because it's evidence, but I don't know, maybe I'll pop it up. But yeah, anyways, the card just has like a bunch of just, I love you, I miss you, I messed up, that type of a thing. And then he came to the door after he placed that, and I opened it, and I was in the house crying and talking to my mom on the phone. He came to the door, and I went and answered the door, and he didn't shed a tear once, by the way. Like, there was no emotion. He was just like, I'm sorry, will you please get back with me? And I was like, no, I think it's best we part ways. And I had my mom on the phone with me the whole time, and I'm bawling. I'm a mess. And he is not shedding a tear. And he even said, like, I've been crying all day. And he was so, like, he was so just blank. And it was eerie. It was weird. And, yeah, so there's more texts after he left, because I told him to go away. I told him he needed to seek mental help and he needed to go away. Let me grab those other texts. So here he is saying all this, saying that he's going to get this car. I found out was being evicted at this point because he didn't have any money like he said he did, and he didn't have a job like he said he did. And he starts going off about all this. And here we are with some more of this craziness. You can pause and read. So yeah, get all those texts, go through that whole day. He then the next day gets worse, and I can continue that in another video. But yeah, it just keeps going. The ball is rolling down the hill at this point. So yeah, I wake up the next morning after everything, and I have 4 voicemails that are all 4 minutes long. And if you guys really want to hear them, I'll share them, but they're just nonsense. None of them make sense. He kind of does what Bri does in all of her videos, where he just rambles. And he's in the videos, he's kind of like talking to himself about stuff. Not the videos, the voicemails. But yeah, they don't make any sense. And so I listen to those, and I just go to work. I'm just ignoring it at this point. And I get to work, I'm putting my stuff in my locker, and my manager walks up to me, and she's like, hey, he stopped your coworker and gave her these on her way into work today. And it was his house keys and a sandwich that I'm pretty sure he stole because he had no money. And so I felt so bad for this coworker, and I still do. She's a sweetheart. I love her to death. Haven't talked to her in a while because shit went down with that place that I used to work at. But yeah, we're not here to talk about that. But yeah, so I felt bad because he drove up on her really fast, rolled his window down, and just was like basically threw the stuff at her and was like, give this to Camden, and then drove off. And she didn't really know the extent of everything that was going on, if I remember right. And it was scary. I feel really bad that she had to deal with that. I feel really bad that all of my old coworkers had to deal with all of my ex stuff. It still bothers me. Still bothers me. I feel really bad for all of that, and I wish there was a way for me to have prevented it from happening at my place of work, but I couldn't. He knew where I worked, and he kept coming back and causing scenes. yeah. So, anyways, I got in touch with his stepsister at this point. We're talking, and mind you, I was pretty upset with his family at this point, because they knew his past, and no one warned me. No one told me anything. I had met with his family a lot, and no one said a word to me about anything. No one pulled me aside and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should protect yourself and stay away from him. Which is something I would have done if my family member was crazy, but I talked to his stepsister, and she kind of explained it to me. And me and her are still really good friends to this day. She's a sweetheart. She helped me through a lot. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I know she's probably watching this, so just know that I am very grateful for you. And I'm very happy for you. So yeah, she comes after work, and she comes to get the keys. Meanwhile, at some point in the day, he went to the hospital and said that he was gonna, and so they kept him. And she starts telling me his past, that he had at one point gone down to California to stay with family and actually did some sort of Grand Theft Auto, and was in a jail or a prison down there for months. No one knew what happened to him. His family just thought he got, like, abducted and he was missing. And they had, like, missing posters and were posting them all over Facebook, all this stuff. And then there was a point where he had texted his whole family that he was going to his grandma, who he was living with. And so his stepmom went to confront him about it, and I guess when she got there, he looked off and started talking to, like, the air, and said something along the lines of, like, this bitch thinks we're crazy. Like, he was talking to himself. And then he also threatened to his aunt and all of her children, and she ended up getting a protective order against him. So yeah, he had some bad history. He also tormented his other ex-boyfriend to the point that that guy had to change a lot about his life, and he traumatized him. And I've talked to him, and I feel really bad for him. I know what he went through, because I went through it too. But yeah, anyways, so she tells me all of that. He's in the mental ward, and I also found out that he is schizophrenic and self-medicating with Adderall, which those things do not mix. But yeah, he is in the mental ward. She drives over there to give him his keys back. She gets there, and they're about to let him out, and she tells the nurses, keep him, do not let him leave. This is just what he did. He just did this to someone, and this is what he's done in the past. Well, I had to talk to the nurse that night, and she told me something that absolutely shakes me to my core. Still sends chills down my spine, still gives me goosebumps when I talk about it. She told me, she was like, Camden, I'm saying this not to scare you, but to warn you, and to make sure you take the precautions you need to protect yourself. She said that I needed to get a protective order. But she said that she could see him being the next Ted Bundy. Yeah. So she said, 1, he is beautiful. 2, he knows how to manipulate people. They were just about to let him out because he had manipulated them into thinking he was okay. And 3, he's already hurt an animal. And at this point, we didn't know for sure, like, we didn't have hard evidence that he hurt Dixon. But the paper trail led straight to him. Everyone was suspicious of it. Even the orthopedic surgeon and his technician that worked on Dixon were very suspicious of it. Yeah, so that all goes down, and that is when I started the process of getting a protective order against him, and a no contact order. And he was then locked in the mental ward for 3 days. On the 3rd day, they reevaluated and they kept him for an extra day. So I had 4 days of just getting my shit together so that I could protect myself and my family and my friends, because during this time, he was contacting my own mom, he was contacting my best friends, he was contacting my cousins, saying that he was gonna himself if he didn't get me back. Like, he was trying to manipulate everyone in my life. He's even calling my work. And so yeah, he gets out, and that is when Bri comes back into the picture. And she starts helping him torment me. They start calling me and texting me nonstop, FaceTiming me nonstop. She starts posting shit about me on her Instagram. And she starts posting stuff like about how he's this amazing guy.
Every single person that has had something to say about me, which, wow, I'm flattered. There's a whole page dedicated to me. That's awesome. Like, I'm so flattered that you guys care that much about me. But every single person that has something to say is someone who can have me, or someone who's like way older than me. Have you noticed that? Like, someone who's actually knows better. They're supposed to be in a better situation. They're supposed to be more wise, more knowledgeable, but then they're sitting there picking on someone that's younger than them. That could be like their little sibling or something. Or like, they're people that are like divorced, like Victoria Novak. Like, she's divorced, has kids. Or Sandy Jones, how about that? The Couture Brows owner, how she got on here and had something to say. When last year I was at her salon supporting her and her business, and I got a $16,000 grant education funded to her business on behalf of me. She was all happy with me until I got this place last year. That's when she started making up lies and rumors about me in Facebook groups. My friends started sending me, my childhood friends started sending me screenshots of her talking crap about me, saying in esthetician groups that I stole her work and all this other crazy stuff, which when I first started attending her class, she told me, literally told us to use her work to promote it. Like, literally told us to take her work and promote it, and I never did. But she told us to, and I was using these tiny tattoo photos from our training just to promote tiny tattoos, and it was part of our training. And she literally told us from the very beginning when I trained with her back in 2019 to use the photos from the training. So anyway, Sandy Jones got married at like 45 and now she's like 50, so she's old news anyways. Bailey Blackner, the video of him, like the receipts of me showing that he did admit to stealing my $22,000. I re-put that video back up on my TikTok, so you can scroll down and see that. The whole Bailey Blackner being Camden's ex-boyfriend thing, I'm highly disappointed in Camden because I sat there for 3 hours listening to him talk about Bailey and all the stuff that they went through after Bailey had robbed me of my $22,000. Like, I reached out to him to just hear him out. And basically I listened to him for 3 hours. I found out all this information. I shared the recording that's now on my TikTok that you can scroll down now on and see that Bailey had admitted to like robbing me the $22,000. But yeah, the whole key situation, basically I was actually with a lesbian couple friend of mine. We were hanging out here at the Gateway, and what happened was Bailey took off because he has like a phobia of lesbians for some reason. And so Camden told me that he was gonna call Bailey and ask him to bring me back my keys. And that's why I had blown up Camden, is because I thought Bailey had my keys. Like, literally, I did call the cops, and the cops came to Bailey's house, and we knocked on his door. Like, I didn't think Camden had my keys. Camden was the one that told me that Bailey had my keys. And it all turns out that actually the keys were here, literally. So Camden was wrong too. Camden's roommate was wrong. She didn't see me leave with my keys. Like, none of that happened. You guys were all wrong. And I was wrong. Like, anyways, at the end of the day, it's like, what does this even do? What does this even do? You're just giving me attention. Like, unless you're gonna like support me or any of that, like just get off my page, honestly. Like if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And if you have no evidence to back your stories, then just shut up. Anyone who wants to donate to me, to my GoFundMe, link in bio. There was quite a lot of you that said that you wanted to pay me the $100 cancellation fee on his behalf. So I'm greatly appreciative of that. I do have my very own Amira vegan tinted brow gels. So anyone who does, I'll send it to them. Anyone who wants to buy these too, you can go ahead and send me a DM as well if you want to purchase these. 4 colors: caramel, coffee, milk, cocoa, and dark cocoa. I handmade this wall. I strapped her to the hood of my Jeep and I brought her here and I screwed her to the wall.
Hello, everyone. So Bri has come out with a response to my video. And I just have to say it is hilarious how she thinks posting 2 text messages that she sent me during the whole thing are gonna prove her point. I have a lot of text messages that I can go through and I'm going to post in this video. So bear with me as I post all of them. I'm gonna make a little commentary on a couple. Some I'm just gonna post and you guys can pause and read. But yeah, it's funny that she thinks that 2 text messages are going to prove her point. So let's get into it. And I guess before we get into it, I do want to say there's a lot more to that story that I posted. Because I only had 10 minutes, I didn't get into everything. And I mean, a lot of my stories, there's so much more to them. I'm trying to hit the main key points and not get into the little details, but because she posted this, I feel like I have to clear it up a little bit. So yeah, here we go. So yeah, they got home. She was calling me nonstop. I get back to my phone, see that she's been calling nonstop, and I did try and talk to her for a little bit that night. And she did. She kept hanging up on me every time I would try and call her. But then she was getting mad at me. So it got to the point where I was like, I have to go to bed. Like I said in my other video, like, sorry, I have to go to bed. I'll let you guys pause and read this one. I'm just going to kind of let you guys pause and read. The texts speak for themselves. And Bailey was being kind of weird that night. He wasn't very talkative, and I think back to it now that I know more, and I think that they were both on something. My roommate agrees, and her husband also agrees. They just seemed off that night. He just wasn't really talking. He wasn't really saying much. Bri also that night had said that she was gonna be our surrogate. And I just was like, oh yeah, you're not having a baby for me, not knowing that she had already had an abortion on a 30-week-old baby. It's kind of mind-boggling. I do like my response here, telling her that she needs to be responsible for her own belongings. As you can see, she doesn't care. She just wants someone to blame. And at that point, it was me and Bailey. I love that she said that she's going to get a restraining order against us in this one. Because I refused to FaceTime her. Oh, man. So yeah, this is kind of where it ends with the text messages for that. I do have some other text messages where she did a group chat with me and him. So I'll post those too, but I'm going to finish off my text messages from this number. Mind you, she had 2 numbers she was messaging me on. This was the first number, and then I have another one that has the text that she posted in her video. And mind you, I think those texts came at a later date. I'll have to check the date, but those ones came at a later date, and it was out of the blue. Yeah, so I like how all of a sudden we're besties, and she wants me to know about her day every day. She texts me once a day for the next like 3 or 4 days in a row, just random crap. Yep, and then she's talking about how her car is getting impounded, whatever. I don't even know. Oh, getting towed. Okay, so here are the texts. Almost a month later, out of the blue, she posted this, and this was getting really close to when him and I were going to break up. A couple weeks later, him and I broke up, and all the stuff that went on in my other videos started to happen. But yeah, here's these texts, and here's some more. So yeah, those are the actual text messages. Her posting 2 texts to make her seem like she did no wrong in this scenario. It's just funny to me. Keep digging your hole, Bri. Okay, so here are the text messages from when she texted me and Bailey. Tried FaceTiming us. Again, I don't know what her obsession was with FaceTime that night, but she wanted to FaceTime really bad. Here's some more. Yeah, as you can see, it's wild. But yeah, here's more. I don't know what the whole Snapchat thing is at the bottom, but yeah. Anyways, I hope she sees this, and I hope she feels really dumb for being disappointed in me for not sharing the whole story. And I also find it funny how in her video she talks about how she was hanging out at the gateway. When she was FaceTiming me and calling me over and over again, she was not hanging out at the gateway. She was in front of her apartment claiming that she was going to have to sleep on the ground. And I gave her some options, and she just didn't want to listen. So, yeah. And she says that she was able to get her keys. Again, I don't remember her getting her keys the next day and them being in her apartment still. It makes no sense to me as to how she can get her keys were in her apartment. I don't know how she locked her door without keys, because it wasn't like her door wasn't like a pin code door. It was more of a like you have to, it's like a key and a lock kind of door. So yeah, it makes no sense to me. Anyways, as you can see, she is off her rocker. But yeah, as you can see, she does her crazy texting just like Bailey. And now there's proof and evidence of all of that. I've got receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, fucking everything. I've always wanted to use that. But anyways, here we are with part 6. I said that I was going to show you guys some of the stuff that she was posting on her Instagram. I'll get that put up behind me. So here's one of them. Just proving to you like how cuckoo both of them are. You can read it. And here is another one of her posts. Kind of digging at me for going after him when he's a mentally ill person. And claiming that I knew that he was a mentally ill person. I didn't know. I didn't know that he was a mentally ill person until he went crazy on me. So yeah, here's another one. Pause to read. So yeah, after that, they had been calling me off of her phone because I had blocked his number. So they were calling me off of her phone, trying to FaceTime me off of her phone and her multiple numbers that she had. They just were both harassing the shit out of me. I was being told that they were driving past my work and driving past my house. And so I was being stalked as well by both of them. Yeah, and then he was also just like, he was finding me on every platform that he could, and messaging me and telling me that he was waiting down the street from me. And he was this far away because police said that he could be that far away. Well, little did he know, I was in contact with said police. And they, like, I'm like, hey y'all, I've got a protective order. He's not adhering to it. You guys need to do your job now and go arrest him. And they did. And he, the first time, actually got himself arrested because he was waiting down the street like he would. He'd sit in his car down at a bank down the street from my house, and get on all of the apps that he could to see if I was on them, to see if I was home. And so he actually ended up calling the police and telling them that he wanted a police escort to my house, so that he could get some of his belongings. And those belongings consisted of sandals and a water bottle. So yeah, he wanted his sandals and his water bottle really bad. And he tried to have the police escort him here. Well, they were like, okay, let's meet up. Because they already had a warrant for his arrest. Like, they were already ready to get him. And so they asked him where he was. He told them. They drove up on him at the bank down the street from my house. And they arrested his ass. And he sat in jail for a couple nights. And then I think they let him out. And then comes a point where I ended up going up to Idaho, because I'm from Idaho, to visit family and hang out with my friends and just get away from this whole mess. It was a lot. I just needed a break. I just needed a break really bad. And so I went up to Idaho to just spend time with my family and my friends. And that is when things got crazy again. He was still texting me, still calling me. He was using no caller ID to somehow bypass that I had blocked his number. So he would call me from a blocked number, and I would answer it, and it would just be like, I'd answer it and I'd be like, hello, who's there? And he'd just be heavily breathing into the phone. It was so creepy. It was so creepy and eerie. And then he'd like hang up. And then a couple times I would, he would, trying to remember. Wait. Sorry, I'm trying to remember everything. So yeah, he would call, breathe into the phone. Anyways, I was trying to get it on video with my friend, of him answering. But every time he would call, we wouldn't get our phones out fast enough to video it. So yeah, then he's messaging me. I was in contact with the police at this point. They were trying to arrest him again because he was breaking the no contact order again. And they were actually setting up a sting to get him. They were texting him through one of their numbers as if he was me, as if they were me, to try and get him to come to a spot so they could arrest him. He caught on because one of the police officers used their personal phone, or not their personal phone, but like an Android, and I have an iPhone, and so when he texted him, he caught on. But leading up to that, he was calling me nonstop all day, and I finally like gave the phone to my friend. I'm like, act like you're someone that has like this is your new number. And he called, and she picked it up, and she was just like, hey. He's like, who is this? And she was like, I think she said like a fake name. And he was like, this is Camden's phone. And she was like, oh, well, I just got a new number, but look, I got to go back to work, so bye. Hangs up. He calls back immediately. And so I give it to her, and she answers it. And when she picks it up, he's like, he's like, is this seriously not Camden's phone anymore? And she was like, no, dude, like, I just got a new phone number. Stop calling me. I need to go back to work. And so she hangs up again. And then he calls back a third time. And she picks up, and she's like, who the hell is this? And he said, Jake. And she's like, okay, Jake. Well, you need to not leave him alone. You need to stop calling this number because it's my new number. I'm trying to work. And he's like, well, this is an Idaho number. As if there's other people in Idaho that don't have an Idaho area code. And she's like, yeah, I live in Idaho. And then she hangs up again. Well, then he tries to FaceTime that phone number from Bri's phone. Or how he did it is because it popped up with his name and Bri's name. And how he did it was trying to do, he like went in and did a FaceTime where Bri, me, and him were in a FaceTime so that it would go through. And I just had to hang up, and he just kept tormenting me for the next following days. I had gotten home, actually, and I have video of him driving past my house. I'm going to try and get that up here. He drove past my house a couple times, and then he actually ends up showing up to my house at some point. I got to look through everything, and I'll post videos of everything, because when he shows up to my house, it's actually kind of funny, because he pretends like he's dying on my front porch, and my roommate's husband, he's, bless his soul, he's a nice person, and felt bad because he thought that Bailey was actually in trouble, like he was not doing well, I guess. Thought he acted like he was dying on my porch. And not only mentally unstable, he is also so manipulative. He manipulated the shit out of my freaking roommate. And yeah, in the video, my roommate comes out and is like, hey, are you okay? I'll go get some help. My roommate goes back out, and he ends up taking him to McDonald's, or he's taking him to go to the hospital because he thought that he was like dying on our porch. And on the way there, Bailey just straight up, like, he switches. He like stops what he's doing, stops hyperventilating and acting like he's in distress. And he goes, I'm fine. I just want to talk to Camden. I'm hungry. And my roommate was like, okay. And he's like, I just need to eat food. And God bless my roommate. He took him and got him some McDonald's, brought him back, and was like, hey, dude, you need to go. Like, don't come back here. Camden doesn't want you here. Meanwhile, I'm in the freaking house watching TV, and my other roommate's out back cleaning the horse stalls with her mom. Had my other roommate answered the door, it would have gone much differently. But because the nice person answered the door, this is how it went. So here come those videos.
Please leave the package outside. If you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
be around you guys down here. Okay, do you want to go to a hospital? I will take you to a hospital. Okay, I'll take you to a hospital. Stay right there, okay? Just breathe, okay? Just deep breaths.
As you can see, he is a freaking manipulator, overreactor. You need to go. I don't have your keys. Your sister gave you your keys. Get. Go. I don't have them. Get away.
I'm like scared.
Get away.
Just give me 2 seconds.
No. Go, Bailey. The police are going to be here. You better go. Get.
I'm not going to ever be around you again.
Yes, I don't want you to. Go.
You talk to Bryce, dude.
Yeah, and I found a lot of scary shit out about you. A lot of scary shit. So go. You're fucking insane. Go. So yeah, as you can tell, in those videos, he just never gets the hint, just like Bri. They never get the hint. But yeah, after that, is when I went to Idaho and he started doing all the crazy calling that I talked about in the last video. I'm looking through my timeline and realizing I'm getting jumbled up. There's just so much that happened. So yeah, that happens. Now I'm going to share the text messages where he basically admits to breaking Dixon's leg, and I really wish they could have used it against him, but they didn't. They did use these texts to arrest him, though. So I'm going to post. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of post these, and you guys can pause and read. And as you can see on this last one, he says he probably did break your dog's leg, though. I feel like that should have been enough for them to have arrested him, but I guess because he talked in the third person and he used a phone number that was not linked to him, they could not get him for that. Although they were able to arrest him because he admits that it's him in these same texts. So it just makes no sense. Yeah, when I talked to the animal control officer, she told me that Utah's laws on animal cruelty are very iffy. She said basically I would have to have him, like a video confession of him saying it. He would have to do that. He'd have to confess to the police that he did it, which he was denying it at this point. Or he I'd have to have video evidence of him doing it. So yeah, unfortunately, there was never justice for Dixon. I guess in a sense there is, because I put him in jail multiple times since then. But I never got justice for Dixon in the way that I wanted to, because I couldn't prove it that he did it, even though he admits it. And now we have Bri saying that she witnessed him with a baseball bat hit my dog, which would make sense because my dog's leg his femur was snapped in half. And I'll show you a picture, actually, just so you guys can see like what I'm talking about. So yeah, right there, clean break. You tell me if you think a pit bull did that by attacking him or running him over at a park. I don't think so. I don't believe it. I still still, he did it. He had to have done it. Here's a picture of afterwards. The doctors did an amazing job. I still work with these doctors to this day, at the new place of work that I'm at. And they're amazing. I love them. They do a great job, and I am so thankful for them for helping me in one of the hardest times of my life. But yeah, they fixed him up. It took about, I can't remember, it was like 3 months for him to be able to go back to being a normal dog. I think he was able to, if I remember right, he was able to go back to normal a little sooner than they expected, because I had been really good about it. Dixon still has a giant scar on his leg. I can show you the what it looked like after the surgery was done, though. And there it is. A giant cut on his leg. Incision, I guess I should say incision. But yeah. Justice for Dixon. If anyone knows how, if there's any way I can still press charges for this, I definitely would. But it's not looking too bright unless he admits. So all paper trails lead to him doing it. And he even admitted it in those texts. Even if it was in the third person, I am taking that as a confession. Because he's crazy. And yeah. You guys all saw that he came to my house. My roommate was a sweetheart. Took him to get food. So yeah. After that, he was able to get arrested again. They were just trying to find him. That was the hard part, is they couldn't find him. He was hiding from them. He was, I think at this point, starting to get evicted. And no one knew where he lived. I didn't even know where he lived. From what it sounds like, he was living with some girl that I have no clue who she is. But anyways, there was one day that him and Bri were hanging out. He was messaging me like crazy, and so was she. Bri was also messing with me. They were both harassing me, and they were hanging out with some other girl that I've never met. I still don't know who she is, but I have pictures of her. I mean, I don't know who she was. She's probably, I hate to assume she's crazy. Whoever she is, I hope she's okay if she's not crazy, but I don't know who she is. So yeah, they were bothering me. I was at home, and my friend was able to see through Bri's Snapchats, not Snapchats, Instagram, that they were all hanging out. And we got screenshots of everything. I was telling the cops, I'm like, he's here. He's at his apartment complex. Go get him. And I think they went and they couldn't find him because at that point he had left. Well, I'm sitting at home and I get on a stupid dating app, and a lot of dating apps nowadays tell you how close people are to you, especially the gay dating apps, which is a little creepy. And I had my location turned off so people couldn't tell how close they were to me. Well, he didn't have his off, and he would make accounts and I would block them, and he'd make a new one and I'd block it, and make a new one, I'd block it. But anyways, yeah, he started showing up really close to my house. And so I started calling the cops, and I'm like, look, he is in the area. This is the car he drives. He's not even supposed to be driving. You guys should arrest him. And the cops were the cop basically was I can't, he's like, Draper's a big city. I can't guarantee that I'll find him, but I'll keep a lookout. So here I am, I was just And I was also getting phone calls over and over again from him, from no caller IDs, because that's what he would do. And he was just tormenting me. I would block a number. He'd get on Google and make a new number. Because I guess you can do that, and they can't freaking track you. And that's probably what Bri does too, because they're psychos and they know these things. They're not normal people. But yeah, so I was feeling very defeated. I was very stressed. I was very traumatized. And it was also worrisome knowing that he was in the area and that he was stalking me again. And so then I get a message, a direct message on Instagram from Bri, and I'm going to show you what it says right behind me. So yeah, this is what she said, and this is my response, because I was being a little petty. Even though she didn't help, I still wanted her to think she did, just to mess with her, because I was so irritated with her and so tired of her. But yeah, I get that message, and then I immediately, like right after I get this message, I get a call from the police, and he's like, hey, I think I just picked up Bailey. Can you just verify when those texts were sent? Mind you, these texts that they're arresting him off of were the texts where he admits to breaking Dixon's leg. Even if it was in the third person, he admitted it. But yeah, so the cop tells me that he's got him. He arrests him off of those things. And then I get a phone call from my roommate, best friend, and her husband. And they're like, Bailey's getting arrested down the street at Iceberg. And I was like, no way. And they're like, yeah, he's down here. He's down there getting arrested. So they got home. And I was like, we should go watch. Because I wanted to see it for myself. So we got in the car and we drove down there. And we parked across the street at a gas station and watched him get arrested, and they towed his car. Also, just to let you guys know, more crazy shit about him, this car wasn't even in his name, is what I found out. And he also wasn't even supposed to be driving without, an inhibitor device, like one of those things that you have to blow into to make sure you're not drunk when you drive, because he had so many DUIs. But yeah, so I'll show you the pictures of him getting arrested. We got there too late to like see them actually arrest him and put him in the car, but I do have pictures of the car getting put on the machine to get the towing machine. So there's his little piece of shit Fiat getting towed. Yeah, I think he was in that police car watching his car get towed. But yeah, so after that, he went to jail for, I want to say like a month or two. It wasn't long before he got back out and was right back to terrorizing me. So I get on Instagram a couple days later, and Bri posts this. And at this point too, she was calling me nonstop. I had her blocked on everything. And so yeah, she posts this, and it caused a lot of stress for me, because I'm sitting here looking at her following, and she's got like thousands of followers, and I'm like, great, all these people are gonna fucking come after me, because I'm ruining someone's life when they don't even know the full story. And at this time, I actually had a lot of friends come out and support me and help me. And I had one friend, I'm not gonna name their name, that knows Bri from the past, reach out and make sure I was okay. This person is anonymous, and I'm not going to speak more about them, because that's something they have to do on their own. But they knew what I was going through, and that person has been so supportive and has been really close to me for a while. After she had posted that, she had actually called me and like, she was calling me nonstop, wouldn't leave me alone. I blocked her on everything. A couple weeks go by and Bailey gets out. He's back on his bullshit. He's calling me, he's texting me, he's stalking my house. He's stalking my place of work. And this is when he steals the money from her. And I'll share some stuff I have from that. I'll put it on behind me. But yeah. So once he steals from her, she thinks he steals from her. Then she's on my side and tries to be my friend, even though I'm like, hell no, I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that in my life. We're not being friends. You tormented me for the past couple months. Like, I'm done with you, girl. But I saved face and talked to her for a little bit just to get her out of my hair. Like, I just wanted her to leave me alone too. And so I'll share what she started posting. So she posted this on her Instagram, and then I'll post the video after this of the audio from it.
How much cash did you steal from me, Bailey?
A lot of thousands.
A lot of thousands? How many thousands? What do you mean you don't know? Give me my money, Bailey.
I'll give you this. I'll give you a portion of this money for your Louis Vuitton bag.
No, you're gonna give me my cash back that you stole.
No.
You're gonna give me my cash back that you stole. Bailey.
Bri.
You're gonna give me my cash back that you f***ing stole. Now. Yes.
Okay, so yeah, Bailey steals her money. I believe I know he stole her Louis Vuitton bag that was probably fake. And when I talked to her, she said that she had $29,000 in that bag, and that he had admitted to taking it and putting it in a bank account and all this stuff. And there was a lot of speculation of like, did he actually take that money? Because he ended up in another apartment. Mind you, like, how does someone who doesn't have a job, doesn't have a car, like, has no money, how do they get into an apartment? He found another apartment somehow. And so we were like, maybe she did have a ton of money, and maybe he friggin' paid for an apartment. But come to find out, he got evicted from that apartment a couple months later. So yeah, it just makes no sense. Maybe he did steal money from her and was able to put a deposit down for an apartment. But if he really stole that much money, I don't see why he would have been evicted from that apartment, because he was only in there for a couple months before he was evicted. And I've learned that whenever he gets in like a stressed out situation, that's when he starts coming after me again. It's like he gets stressed and it's like right at me. But yeah, so she's trying to be buddy with me. I told her that if she really believes that he stole money from her, that she needs to get a hold of the police, and be in contact with them. And then she like started being like, can I start coming to your dance classes again? And I was like, I just kind of ignored it. And I was like, okay, have a good night. And I hung up on her. And then she started texting me nonstop about getting a hold of my detective and all this stuff. And I was just like, we're done. At that point, I blocked her, like, on everything. I had kept her on some of the social platforms just so I could, like, see stories and see, like, if Bailey were to get out, if they were hanging out and that type of stuff, so that I would have some way of knowing where he was, to have the police go get him. But at this point, he burned that bridge with her, and she was over him at that point. And I had blocked her. I blocked her on everything. And she did leave me alone from then on out. But I then have since had to deal with Bailey more and more and more this past year. So yeah, she kind of falls out of the picture at this point. And I just start having to deal with all the Bailey shit. So yeah, he gets out of jail and he starts messaging me. This is a little bit after he steals from her. But I get all of this, and I was actually able to prove this, this whole thing right here is with that picture, because the profile was blank, everything was blank, but that picture right there was actually a X-rated picture of him. But I had to use my iPad to film it, because it's like Snapchat. Once you look at the picture, it's gone. But it was an X-rated picture, and so I had to call the cops, and I had to be like, hey, he's bugging me again. This is what he just did. And they're like, how do you know it's him? I'm like, he sent me a picture, but it's X-rated of him. Do you want me to share that with you? And he's like, well, I have to see it. And so I had to send an X-rated picture of him to the police so that they could confirm it was him. But they couldn't find him either, because he had just gotten a new apartment and I had no clue where it was. I'll show you the text messages from when he got the new apartment, because he immediately started harassing me again, and he started coming after my dance friends. I'm part of a dance fitness group called Riot Dance Fitness, if you don't know that. Yeah. And he knew that, and so he was going after them too. And I'm going to share some of those. So he actually messaged this to their Facebook page. I'll let you pause and read. And then he texted my friend personally this. I'll let you pause and read. I also love how he's like, I can Apple Pay you. Like, what? And then he went through and liked everything. So they ended up blocking him from their Facebook page. I then start getting Apple Paid money. He just starts sending me money, which I guess was nice. I think I got like $35 by the end of it, which was such an odd amount. But he was trying to get me to respond to him by saying that he was going to pay me back for Dixon's surgery because he felt bad. And I'm like, how about you just pay me back in full? But anyways, I didn't contact him because I didn't want the protective order to get dropped. But yeah, so I got this text message, and then I got this, and he was sending me his location, saying that he is not going to go to court, and he's going to, and yeah. I also love that he says that I personally victimized him. Like, you're the one victimizing me. And then he sends me pictures of him in his new apartment. And asks me if I want more money. So yeah, that kind of concludes this whole section of things. They still hadn't arrested him by this point because we couldn't figure out where he was. I had no clue. I did know the area, but not exactly where he was. I'm going to continue into a part 10. At this point, Bailey is still not arrested. He is still out and about. They can't find him. They don't know where he lives. But he somehow got an apartment. And so I was really wondering why they weren't able to find where he lives when he somehow was in an apartment. It was like a studio apartment. But still, I'm like, you guys have to have some sort of database to be able to look these people up when there's literal criminals on the loose. And you have every reason to arrest them now. I have given you a plethora of evidence. And so me and my friends go out to the bar for Halloween. And I'm hanging out with my friends at the bar, and he walks in. And I see him, and I was like, oh my God, that's him. Because my best friend had been in Scotland for the year, and she was coming to see me and spend Halloween with me. And so she hadn't seen him in person yet. I'd definitely like shown her who he was, but anyway, she saw him, and she immediately, I love her so much, she immediately went in at him. She was like, you need to get out right now. I started having a panic attack. My other friends had to calm me down. I was already drunk by this point. And I was messed up. I didn't think to call the police. I wish I would have. But I didn't, because I started having a panic attack, and my friend immediately went in at him and was like, get out of here. And she chased him out of the bar. And so yeah, he gets chased out of the bar by my best friend. And then a couple days later, I get some of those text messages that I had posted in the previous video. And then I get another message on one of the dating apps, and he's trying to say that he has HIV and that he gave it to me. I had been taking PrEP the entire time we were together. I get tested every 3 months, just to make sure I don't have anything. And it was really shitty in that point in time, because like, yes, you can still get HIV even being on PrEP. Like, you still should get tested every 3 months. They tell you that. And it was right at the point where I needed to retest. And that's when he pulls this shit. And it's almost like he knew that. And he knew that would get under my skin and cause me anxiety. But he was trying anything he could do to get me to respond to him, so that it would be, the protective order would be broken. And I held strong, and I still have. I still have not said one thing to him since the day I got my first protective order. Not one. I haven't said one word to this man. I shouldn't even call him a man. I should call him a fucking child, because that's what he is. But yeah, so I'll show you what he sent me on that dating app, and then what he put in his profile. He included Dixon in the profile picture. So he put this in here. Just wanted to let you know I got tested and I'm positive. Sorry. I'm going to myself. And then he posts a picture of him and my dog. My dog that he freaking broke his leg. And then puts his about me as HIV positive. So I immediately block it. And I call the police again. But yeah, they take all of this. And he eventually ended up getting arrested again. Like really, really soon after this. They were able to find out where he was living. I had found out from his stepsister that he had actually had a car. And I was able to look up that car, which freaked me out even more because I had even changed my job by this point. And I didn't want him to know where I was working. And so it worried me because I didn't know what kind of car he was driving. And it worried me that he had like stalked me and maybe figured out where I was working. To this day, I still don't think he knows where I work. I really hope he doesn't, because I don't want to have to go through that again. That was a freaking nightmare, and I never want to do it again. And yeah, so they were able to find out what apartment he was living in because I was able to give them the VIN. I found the VIN of the car with some help from his family, which was very nice of them, considering everything. But yeah. So they were able to go and arrest him. He got arrested again. He got evicted out of that apartment. And a couple months go by and he starts coming in at me again. He gets arrested again. I come to find out he was also tormenting one of his employers. That person has not posted anything because that person hasn't had to deal with Bri Powers, and right now Bri Powers is trending. I don't know if this person will ever come out and talk about it, but right now that is currently in the works. And that's their story to tell. But yeah. I'm just gonna kind of cut this short. I still have a ton, like a lot still happened to me that I probably haven't even covered. But he's sitting in jail now. He's been in there since July 17th. And I'm hoping that he stays longer. I'm sure he's going to get out at some point. He will. And I'm going to have to deal with it again. But yeah, I'm going to kind of end this at right here. If you guys have questions, definitely ask. I can answer them in different videos, but I think I'm done telling my story. Because I'm getting lost in the timeline and forgetting things. So let me know if you guys have questions. I will answer them.
Day and night. For some women, it can start working in as fast as 1 week.